around me. Green, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo. Cash rules everything around me. Green, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, yo.
It's been 22 long, hard years, I'm still struggling. Survival got me bugging, but I'm alive on arrival. I beat back the shape of the streets to stay awake to the ways of the world, cause shit is deep. A man with a dream, with plans to make cream, which failed. I went to jail at the age of 15, a young buck selling drugs and...
Welcome back to another episode of We Hate Fantasy Football. Tom Perry's still in studio. I got Crazy MFJR next to me, and I am the captain. We are here to preview Week 6. We'll take a look at what waivers happened this week, and we'll go ahead and move forward with that. So, waivers, anything interesting this week?
Well, one thing that I did notice, Lisa picked up Charles Clay, dropped Dennis Pitta. You know what that doesn't do for me? It doesn't worry me.
Oh.
I thought it was interesting. I don't necessarily disagree with you if it was a season-long acquisition. I think this week, though, San Francisco has given up 10 passing touchdowns in 5 games, so I think he has potential with Watkins out. They don't really have a lot of guys to throw the ball to, so I think he's a little bit boom or bust, but I think potentially for this week.
You ever watched Charles Clay play before?
I have not.
He's not good.
All right.
I don't know. Tom convinced me. I think you're going to lose this week, Josh.
I don't like either of you.
And Tom, you see anything else interesting with waivers? Actually, just on the whole year, have you seen anything interesting on waivers?
If we want to get into it, I did some analysis of some of the free agent acquisitions and looked at who has how much fab remaining, how many transactions they've done, and how that breaks out into a cost per transaction. That was interesting. The most transactions in the league is actually you, Darren, with 18. I'm right behind you with 17, so we're not at the bottom for lack of trying. We're trying to mix it up. We're doing what we can. Interestingly enough, Kevin at 3 transactions, lowest in the league by quite a bit. Actually, no, Josh also at 3. So 2 of the top teams in the league, only 3 transactions.
You guys should try drafting better. Just
Maybe.
No comment.
Kevin, though, everybody for the most part is spending on average $2 or $3 transaction. Kevin is the notable exception with over $12 a transaction. So Kevin doesn't move a lot of players, but when he does, he spends a lot. And,
he added Diggs and Yeldon this week, which I think were pretty good pickups. Those guys are starters with Yeldon, I think, and Diggs is potentially a number 1 receiver that got dropped because he was hurt, but that's a guy that really could strengthen. Both those guys could really strengthen his team, which I don't like very much, but could make it really good.
When I saw he picked up Diggs, I was pretty mad. I didn't even know Diggs was on waivers.
I didn't either.
I was surprised that he had him.
That was a good pickup.
But overall, I think our team is very fiscally conservative. We all have a good fab budget remaining. If you spend equally week in and week out, your $100, you should be spending a little less than $8 a week. And so you should have somewhere between $54 and $62 left, and every one of us does. So no one's gone and blown their entire budget yet, and so I think that's kind of interesting.
Hey, maybe we have a new treasurer over there.
Yeah, you collect the money.
Maybe. Pony Express, cash only, no electronic payments. You guys want to get in on that?
On that note, Ryan and Keitel, pay, please. Please.
All right, on that note, Josh, you looked a little closer at the top scorers for the season so far. All the flex rankings. You looked at the non-quarterbacks, the non-tight ends. What did you see?
Well, what I think is interesting is at the beginning of the year, during draft season, we all, maybe not all of us, but a lot of the draft experts put a big emphasis on receiver. Zero RB was a theory that came up and a lot of people kind of bought into. What I've looked at so far is the top 7 points per game scorers so far in our league this year are all running backs. Now, there aren't a whole ton of surprises. Really, the only surprise that I saw out there was Tevin Coleman. The rest of them, you could make an argument that they should have been there. You have to get to number 8 before you get to Antonio Brown and the wide receivers. Now, there's a wide receiver run after that, but I just find it pretty interesting that the top scorers are running backs. Everybody's kind of scared off of running backs during the draft, and they so far have proven to be the top scorers. And there's been some injuries, but for the most part, the top guys are performing pretty well. Now, there's been a couple busts like AP. He sucked, and then he got hurt. Lamar Miller, hasn't done a whole lot. Jamal Charles hasn't played yet. A high pick, hasn't played. He might be really good. We don't know. We'll see when he comes back. Ingram, Lacey, Gurley, not great, but they're still productive. I mean, they've had some good games. So overall, the running back position has greatly improved over what it was last year. The wide receiver position, you've got, I think, what looks like more busts to date with Beckham, Dez, Allen Robinson, Sammy Watkins, Nuke Hopkins, Alshon Jeffrey, Keenan Allen got hurt. These guys were all supposed to perform really well and haven't. So it's just kind of interesting that we thought receiver would be more durable, more productive, more consistent, and it really hasn't panned out quite that way yet.
That was a lot of information. I'm not going to lie. I started thinking about stuff I'm going to make Darren wear when I beat him in a couple weeks.
There's a couple other surprises as far as guys that have performed well this year that we haven't really looked at. LeGarrette Blount, Michael Crabtree, Isaiah Crowell, Larry Fitzgerald, at least to me, these are guys that were drafted a little bit later. Maybe we didn't think were going to be quite as good, and they've come up in the rankings and played well. So I find that stuff kind of interesting.
So you named a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And only one of them is on my team.
Yeah.
I'm also was not scared off by the whole running back early, so I picked Jonathan Stewart as my second pick.
He's going to do really well for your team going forward, right?
Somebody's team. Not mine. All right, that'll take us to our email of the week. This week's email comes from Kevin, and this becomes a commissioner rant. Here we go. From Kevin. Where does Kevin say he's from?
Top of the world.
Oh, yes, Kevin on top of the world. All right, he says, Darren would have beat Gus this week. How unlucky has Darren been this week? Or this year? Let me tell you, I hate fantasy football. I've been super unlucky all year long. My team has scored either 112 or 111 points every single week, except for week 2 when most of our teams scored very low. Every week, I would have beaten most of the teams in the league. And by most, I mean more than half. This week, I would have beaten 5 teams. Last week, I would have beaten 5 teams. Let's just look at it. If I had played Gus or Barber every single week, I'd be 3-2 right now.
Not bad.
If I had played Lisa, Wahlberg, or Jeff, I'd be 2-3, which is better than what I'm doing right now, and closer to first place. And of course, if I had played Tom every week, then I'd be in first with my 5-0 record.
But
Who do I have to play to win and be like 4-1?
Tom, I didn't do it for you.
What would your record be if you played me every week?
I don't know. And then it might be pretty poor, pretty bad. It's just been unfortunate. The teams that I've played each and every week, it's just been somebody who's scored pretty well. I haven't played anybody who's had a bad week, and that's pretty frustrating.
Me neither.
Oh, shut up. I just absolutely hate fantasy football. Tom, what's gone wrong for you this year?
What's gone right? Looking to get over that century mark every week. It's a struggle week in and week out. We're doing better than last year, but that's all I can say really at this point.
All right, that'll wrap up another week of We Hate Fantasy Football. That was our Week 6 preview. For Tom Period, Crazy It, and FJR, I am the captain, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Wait.
Yeah.